Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Holotable Games Network. I'm Ginger Joe.
And I am Replicant Corey.
Replicant Corey,
Yeah.
like a clone? Is that what you're doing over there?
No. Come on. It's a Nexus 6 model. We're going full Blade Runner at this point in time.
Well, sure, but I mean, aren't replicants just mechanical clones?
No, replicants are androids. We've covered this. They're androids. That's not the same thing as a clone. They're
So,
more mechanical parts.
so a mechanical clone, like I just said.
But that's an android. That's not a clone.
The same difference. It's just got metal parts instead of fleshy parts.
It's very different. It seems very racist if you're lumping both the androids and the clones together, honestly.
Rate you just
Wrecker will be very disappointed in you.
that's I'm offended. All right, we're doing things a little bit differently this time around on HGN, mainly because we're both gearing up to head down to Galactics, and we didn't have the time to really get together in person, or the time that we did had a little technical difficulty, resulting in we are doing a remote podcast this time because Corey's at his place and I'm at my place. So,
Yeah, just quick conversation session. We had a great record. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Joey really wanted to upload it. He beat my Talzin deck. He was feeling really good. And then we never recorded any audio. So yeah,
why
that was fun.
why you got to bring that bus into this whole conversation? I mean, that's a pretty long bus that just hit me in the face. Thank you very much.
Right. It was a good it was a good games. You won those fair and square quite well, and it's never going to be seen ever. That's all there is to it. It's
It will be
gone.
seen. It won't be heard. That's the
There
difference.
we go. We're gonna upload it silent. We're just gonna put orchestral music over it.
I'll put a black and white like filter over the top of it kind of thing, and then start like weaving in like the nameplates like oh
Yeah.
vote, watch out behind you.
I like this idea. I can get behind this. Yeah, there we
No,
go.
this is gonna
That'll be
take
the
too much
plan
time.
for
I'm
use.
not doing that. I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna take way too much time. So, all
Fair,
right. So
fair.
over the last weekend, we had a 1K tournament here in Portland at the Battlegrounds Gaming Cafe, put on by Marked Cards. And we both competed in this tournament, and it was a lot of fun. We had a 29 player turnout of a 32 player maximum. I personally ended up in dead last.
Yeah, it was not a great day for you, Joey. You really got those bad draws. I
Yeah,
got a little luckier on my draws, and I ended up making top eight. Almost got to top four, but just barely lost my match against Jasper, who is an incredible local player playing a deck that has an advantage against me. So it felt really good to even come close to making the top four. Would have felt better to make it, but that's how it goes sometimes.
you
That's
still
always
got
the
paid for top eight, if I'm not mistaken, though.
Yeah. I got my money back, so
So
I'm
there
not
you
really
go.
complaining. I got a day worth of game playing and
Yep.
got my money back, so it worked out pretty well. But yeah, it was a good day. Great work all around with marked cards. What
Marked
is
cards.
marked cards? Yeah, marked cards put on, did a good job with that. Also, we had commentary. If you haven't seen it, our Unlimited Power put on a live stream for everyone with commentary by himself and another local friend of ours, Jennifer. The two of them did some fantastic commentary all day long. And Joey even jumped in for a few matches towards the end. I believe a couple top eight matches, correct?
Yeah, since I drummed out, I decided to join David and do a little bit of the top eight commentary for you guys as well, so you'll be able to hear me a little bit as well. If you want
Yeah.
to jump ahead and see who won, I have that scrolling below us on our little text reader for you, so you can see who actually ended up getting first and second in that tournament. I'm not going to spoil it for you. You're just going to have to wait for it to scroll back around.
You have to wait to read it. I did want to, because I mean, while we're talking about this, I did want to mention while during your commentary, there was something you said that I think I just want to make sure we bring up to discuss.
I'm going
It
to
was
once again,
something
so
about
shh. You just like bringing
somebody
this bus
being
back into this
right.
conversation over and over and over again, don't you?
I'm gonna. I like hearing it. I love. What was it you said again? What was it exactly?
I believe I said that I have made a fatal mistake in admitting anything to Corey. Yes, something like that. I
Something
know
along those
your
lines.
name next week better be Bus Driver Corey. Otherwise, there is something completely wrong with this right now. No, we've had
It's
a
fair.
conversation in the past where I have truly felt that in this game, if you're playing an aggro deck and you miss your two drop, you are so drastically behind, it feels impossible to actually dig your way out of it. And if you watch the stream, you will see our second place runner up, Graham. Oh, now I spoiled it and you don't have to read anymore.
When did you get first
He
place?
actually, huh?
I can't remember. I thought you got first.
Nope. He did not. Graham got second.
I
So
can't
the
even remember
Sabine
myself.
ECL got second place, but he was able to dig his way back after losing his first and second drop and to win that particular game. I don't know if he won that particular match, but he won that game. And on that stream, I had to admit to Corey that, well, I guess it's possible.
I like hearing that I was right. Yep.
Did I ever actually say you were right, or did I just say that
You
I was
did. You
wrong?
specifically said, Corey, if you're watching, you're right.
Oh, damn.
Gotta make sure that we reiterate that a few times. Like, who's right? Who was that
Yeah.
again?
Yeah. I
But
just
no,
want to
all
remember this
around.
humble pie you were choosing not to eat right now. I just want to,
Oh
like, just,
God, no! Like,
okay.
what is this humble pie you speak of? That's basically going to be the GC event. That's that's
Oh,
how that's
good.
going to
Good.
go. But that's
We
it.
should be
All
placing
around,
side bets on who gets farther.
that's actually a good question. But I mean, do we place the bets just on who's just doing day one, or because we got a number of players of the day two buy or the day one buy?
No, 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 no. I just meant like among like our friends or like you and me or like anybody else that we know that's competing kind of thing. Just like a side bet who can get farthest along kind of thing.
I like
So
that.
kind of
I
interesting.
feel like it's possible I can make day two.
I
I
have a
feel like
shiny
that's
dollar for
possible.
you.
Yeah, $1 if you can make it.
$1. The trading
Uh,
spaces bet, a gentleman's bet, $1.
I have no goals really beyond day two, though. Beyond that, it's like if I get to day two, I'll feel great and I'm good. But that said, again, the tournament itself, fantastic. If you take a look at the deck lists are out there. They're up on the competitive hub. We had a
Unfortunately,
very
they got put out
yeah.
there.
Unfortunately, they got
We
put
tried to
up.
not do it, but apparently Melee automatically posts them. So
Yeah, so that's not the best, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, like my list myself, I was telling Joey like the night before the tournament, Star Wars Dad, who also does very good content. If you've not watched his stuff, did a deck that was nearly identical to mine. I was like, wow, that's almost spot on my deck. And the only things that were a couple of things that were different were ideas he had that I was like, oh, I'm going to try that out. Actually, that's a good idea. So my deck was already out there, so I wasn't worried about that. And it's a common enough talls and red, so people know this deck. But that said, it was a fun day. Great job by everybody that put it on. Battlegrounds Gaming Cafe as well hosted it. Just a great time. Again, want to shout out just how fantastic the Portland community is. If you're ever in the Portland area, doesn't matter what day of the week. There are events every night of the week out here. So if you are in the Portland area and want to play some Star Wars, just hit up the swoopdx.com website and check for events. They're
yep.
great. The people here are great.
And Battlegrounds Gaming Cafe, notably not in Battleground, Washington.
No, that is in Portland, Oregon.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
right. So with the tournament, I actually was pleased to see we had 29 players, and I only think we had three double leader, double base representations. Everybody else was a unique deck that got brought there. And that was actually refreshing to see. Now, that said, there was still quite a few of the same style of decks, if you will. For
Mhm.
instance, Blue Green Villainy was very much a force during the entire tournament, but in different iterations, as you can now pretty much take that package and swap out leaders with bases however you feel fit to your play style at that point in time.
Yeah.
We had a Kylo one, we had a Gar one, we had a Krennic, we had
Mhm.
was there a different one?
I don't even remember off the top of my head. I didn't see any others myself, but I mean, obviously, I didn't play everyone, so I'm not
Right.
six
Right, you're
myself.
only going to play the 5, maybe the 6.
Yeah.
Which the ironic thing was your 5th match that you ended up IDing
Mhm.
was against the same person you had to play in the top eight the very next game.
Put
So
in
it's
top
like,
eight. So.
but anyway.
Yeah,
So let's
all
since
good.
since I mentioned IDing, let's talk about that. A little bit out of order what we were going to talk about, but it kind of like
Yeah,
segues
that's
into
fair.
it. So we're about to go into Galactics, the biggest tournament that we have for the year, kind of summing up the first season. And we started the season out with going to time resulting in double losses. And I think the community as a whole hated that concept.
Yeah.
And towards the latter, I think it was like the last set, they introduced the ability to draw, which I think is an improvement because if you go to time, you draw. This makes control decks don't actually have to fear just like, oh, well, I brought a control deck and I basically automatically lose if I face another control deck at this point in time.
Yeah.
You get a draw instead. But that also introduces the ability to ID, which, in my opinion, is an unhealthy side effect of the draw mechanism. Because to me, it means you're not playing the game anymore. You're playing politics to determine if you're going to make the top eight or not. And that to me is something that I would like to see them work on to prevent.
I get your viewpoint. I see where it comes from. I understand the frustration. I've been on both sides of the ID. I've been on the side of IDing to get a placement myself, and on the side of missing out on the top eight because of several IDs above me. I've seen it both ways. I just kind of land on the side of this is still leaps and bounds better than the double loss. As you mentioned, that was horrible. Being a control player, I hated that. It made me uncomfortable playing control. Even though I play fast, I'm not always comfortable that my opponent's going to play fast enough to get us there in time, depending on the deck I'm playing against. So that helps a lot in that aspect. So I like where they've gone from there. The problem with trying to get rid of IDing is how do you do that in any way, and how are you able to monitor that it doesn't happen? That's the biggest issue that I see. Is there's not really a good solution to get rid of it, even if there was desire on Fantasy Flight 2, because it's too hard. It's too hard to police.
Well, I mean, I understand that that's the challenge that needs to be overcome because I look at it as like IDing is essentially collusion, and collusion is highly frowned upon and technically against all the rules. So if you are allowing ID, then aren't you technically allowing collusion at that point in time?
That's an argument. That is a fair argument to be made. Yes, I would say that is a form of collusion, but it's an allowable form of collusion. And until Fantasy Flight changes their mind on it, it's kind of one of those things that take advantage of it while you can, and don't get too frustrated about it. Maybe give your feedback to Fantasy Flight if you don't like it. They're gonna, especially if you're attending Galactics, they will send out a survey afterwards for thoughts of anything just in general, and there'll be space for you to put things about the game too that might frustrate you. So that type of conversation would be well to bring to their attention, but I just kind of look at just the universe of CCGs. IDs are kind of just in all of them, and if they haven't come up with a solution to not have them exist, I don't see what how Fantasy Flight is going to.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying try. But just
Sure.
because it hasn't
Yeah.
been done yet doesn't mean it can't be done. It's just a matter of like where's the effort going kind of thing.
Yeah.
That
It's
or
just the
if
question
we
is, what do you do? How do you do it?
well, I mean, you got to look at it this way. I think your example was, well, you can always just make sure you and your opponent play slow and go to time, and then, oh, bummer, we drew,
Oh,
whoops.
shucks. Yeah.
But as the matches start finishing, judges start filtering down and watching those remaining plays more closely with more scrutiny because they're also trying to like get the next round going, kind of thing. An adept and a tuned in judge should be able to decipher if a Sabine player is taking 4 minutes to take an action. Hello, there's something going on here. You know what I mean? There's got to be ways that you can assess something. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. And I'm not saying that it's going to be like fixed anytime soon. Like you said, it's one of those things that, as much as I dislike it, as much as it's, in my opinion, unhealthy for the game itself, it is something that is a part of the game, and you have to just learn to deal with it at the moment. So use it if it's going to be to your advantage, because that's a tool to use. I just feel, in the spirit of playing the game and winning by skill, it's very much against that spirit entirely. And I just
Yeah,
dislike it for that. So
I can see that argument. As I said, I think that's a fair argument to make. I just don't think. I mean, I just don't think there's the judging capacity. It would require more judges on staff really to be able to handle the potential of things that might come up if IDs didn't exist. So that's kind of just where I'm at. Again, I'm not opposed to if it goes away. That's fine by me. I'm not. I don't feel strongly on it either way. I get the case of wanting to play out, but I also get that it's kind of the norm for CCGs, and you just kind of accept that also. So yeah, I see the argument, but I'm just I'm kind of at the on the aspect of I just don't see it changing anytime soon.
no, I don't see it changing anytime soon either. But I would like to see them attempting to improve, always make yourself better, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
fair
you
argument.
solved one problem, but you've kind of created another problem by solving the one. So don't give up on constantly improving yourself, is all I'm trying to like allude to.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Um, Kind of a side note, because you brought it up. The
Yeah.
judging staff, you feel like there wouldn't be enough people. Because what would be, think of like shroom teachers. It's a good judge to player ratio for you.
I mean the bare minimum is 1 to 30, one for every 32 players.
Okay.
That really is what I think is an essential floor. I think it's even better if you can staff enough for one for every 20 to 24. That's usually not very doable because that becomes, a lot of staff, obviously, for events that don't make that kind of money. But yeah, 1 to 32 seems to be a reasonable number, but we're not always really seeing that number play out in the PQs. It's oftentimes, I mean, I've seen a Guardian one judge running the entire 128 person in the past.
No, the
So
Guardian ones have always had three.
have they had three?
They've always had three. One of them's usually behind the desk doing like all like the deck lists and stuff like that. And you have the head judge, and then usually one, maybe sometimes two other ones floating around, kind of thing. Guardians always
Oh
had
my
three judges.
my apologies. I must be misremembering something and mixing something in my mind. It's late at night. Things get
Yeah.
forgotten. I apologize. But yeah, no. Oh, I mean a good example also is the one we went to that you missed out on down in Southern Oregon.
Oh, I got
That one
sick.
did
I
have
was so pissed off
one
about that one.
judge
One judge for
for
the
the
entire
entire
thing.
thing. Yeah,
How many
one
players?
judge. It ended up being 62, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because I would say
Yeah.
that I would agree with you. I think 32 is probably where you want to land. And I derive that number on a visual perspective of, if you have a table and you
Yeah.
have eight people at a single table, therefore four matches, and I can imagine one table to my left, one table to my right, and then I walk past that to another set of tables on my left and right, and then I literally turn around and walk back. That's my
Mhm.
territory. That's what I'm monitoring during the tournament, right? And any judge calls from those four tables are my responsibility to actually then make a ruling on. I can see that very easily as being a manageable path and a number of players that you could actually deal with. And I would say that if you're going to go like more judges to ratio, then you would actually just have that if you could. So then it's only like I'm
Yeah.
monitoring the table to my left and the table to my right. And that's 16 players at that point in time. So I think, yeah, 32 as a high threshold is the maximum you want to deal with, because anything more than that, and I think that puts it outside the scope of feasibility for speed to answer and
Yeah.
or monitoring capabilities for the active um what's the word they like to use, Corey? Active monitoring, active judging. I don't want to say judging is not the right
I
word. It's
can't remember.
active. There's a word that they use for where they're constantly monitoring to see, so that in case they see something that isn't necessarily called, you can actually make a step in
I'm
judgment at that point in time.
I'm not
Doesn't
coming for
work.
the word either.
I know
I'm not
Alex
coming
has
with the
used it
word
for.
either.
Alex has told it to me before too, so I know it's there. So
I'm not coming up with it either. But yeah, I know what you're saying, and that is it. I agree. I think that's kind of where it's at. Like, if you had that optimal world, you'd be able to have the oversight from the judges to watch things, monitor things, and be in a good position. But I don't feel like we're staffing at those levels of these events. I'm curious to see what the staffing at Galactic Championships is going to look like, to see how much they are. It's Star City Games, so it'll probably be skimpy. That's usually something you can count on from them. But we'll see. I'm curious to see where it ends up being.
Denver felt like it started with a lot of judges present, and I
Yeah.
think that was like at the very beginning, primarily probably because they were just handing out all the prize support that they were like giving out and everything. And then once all that got handed out, I think it like dwindled down over the time. But you also got to think that you got to like have enough judging staff that you can rotate people out and not like, oh,
Yeah.
you're sitting there the entire time like all these other players are just gruely making rulings kind of thing. That's some mental fatigue. So
hmm Yeah, that's also a challenge. So yeah, it's a challenging space to be in, and I think that's kind of one of the bigger things. Like, to take away ID would require some significant work on the judging staff side, and I just don't think there's the capacity for that right now.
okay. Well, I hope to eventually get there at some point. But
Yeah.
going into Galactics, like we said at the Portland 1K, we had a great diversity of decks. Do you think we're going to continue that diversity at Galactics, or is everyone just going to be playing, quote unquote, the five big meta decks that exist right now?
I think in day one of Galactics, you're going to see a lot of variety. If you're playing day one, yes, you're probably going to see a lot of the meta decks. That's a given. You're gonna see a lot of Hantu blues, you're gonna see a lot of Talls and Reds, Quinlan greens, all the force throw decks, you're gonna see plenty of. The again, the blue green villainy, as mentioned, as Joey mentioned before, we're gonna see a lot of those. Like, you're gonna see what you expect to see, but you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna be guaranteed. You're gonna see some off meta. You're gonna see some weird stuff. So always be prepared for that. If you are coming to day one, do know that you're probably not just going to see meta decks, so you might get surprised by some things. So maybe try to think outside the box and think of what your game plan would be against various types of maybe off meta decks. I think that gets whittled down to day two. I do think you're going to see those decks at the end of the day rising to the top, and day two becomes a much less diverse meta, uh, pretty heavily dominated. I expect by Hantu Blue, followed by the rest of the Force Throw decks.
Force those specifically, you think is going to be that cream of the crop then there, huh?
I think at the end of the day, Force Throw is. This pivots right into that talk we have about Force Throw. My opinion is pretty straightforward. I think it should have been banned. I don't think it's broken like Triple Dark Raid. I always try to make that clear. I think it's a very powerful card, that is on that borderline of broken to not broken. I think I compare it, I think, best to Overwhelming Barrage. It's right on that line. It's really powerful for what it does, but maybe it's not quite broken yet. But it's so
Okay, so then
incredibly
hold up
strong,
then.
you
What is
should
your
be playing it.
definition of what is a broken card?
Again, Triple Dark Raid was a great example.
But what
A
made that
card that's
card
just
broken and this card not?
at the end of the day, I think what it did for what it could cost just was so much more powerful than what you're getting from Force Throw. Force Throw is very good. Same with Overwhelming Barrage. You're getting some very good power out of it. Triple Dark Raid was literally a triple threat of, it let you search your deck for a card, so you didn't lose a card from it. Play that card, ready, attack with it, get it back in your hand so you can play it again. That was three ways that it was broken, all in one three cost event.
Well,
It was
that's the three
crazy.
ways it functions, but what made it broken was one of those things was one too many.
Yes, yeah, end of the day, it was just too much altogether. If the card just let you search your deck, or my argument was always just let you play something from your hand at a lower cost,
Let's sneak
that
attack.
would be a little bit better. Yeah, like a sneak attack type of thing, or maybe it let you search your deck, but it dies at the end, like sneak attack, something like that. It doesn't go back to your hand. It just shouldn't have had all three of those things. And again, I think that's a balance issue of that's just too much power for one card. I don't think Triple Dark Raid or Force Throw is that level of powerful, but I do think it is very powerful. And I think more importantly, the problem with Force Throw and why I think it should have been banned is it warps the meta and it's frustrating to play against. That's, I think, the biggest thing. And that's the thing that Fantasy Flight has highlighted. They do consider when they're thinking about get, uh, get card bans and suspensions is this card causing basically is it killing the fun? And I would argue that Force Throw does that. It's an incredibly frustrating card to play against nowadays. It was fine where it was at when it wasn't as easy to have a force unit early, but now with a bunch of 2-drop force units, it's really easy to get hit by 2 or 3 force throws in the first couple rounds, and like round 2 or round 3, and that is just oftentimes you can't even recover from that. It's just that's game.
See, that to me is the point where I think force throw is a problem, whereas it didn't used to be a problem. I
Yes,
think it suffers from the Triple Dark Raid plight of when Triple Dark Raid first came out, there wasn't enough vehicles to really make it a threat. As soon as
yes,
Jump to Lightspeed came out, suddenly it's a problem because we have a plethora of vehicles to navigate with. Legends of the Force, in my opinion, does the same thing with Force Throw in that now every unit is a Force unit, so it's always on and active versus maybe a third to potentially half of your units were Force, but they were a little bit more easy to control and manage. I personally have been the victim of a triple Force Throw in round two. And I gotta tell you, that was the most crippling thing ever. The only thing that I can say that was okay, this might be okay, is that my buddy pointed out the fact of, oh, I had no hand, no unit, but my opponent only had one card in their hand after the fact as well.
sure,
So we played it out a couple more rounds, but then as soon as I deployed my leader and he instantly killed my leader, I was like, okay, now we're done because I can't even
yeah,
recover with my leader at this point in time. Um, to me, the cost of force throw is the problem. I've even
yeah.
long said that I think force throw at 3 is perfectly capable of being probably more accurately costed for what it does. Um, there is ways that they could have fixed this and balanced this a little bit better. Like the whole I lose a card, you lose a card, that's the force throw. I'm throwing my card, you're throwing your card. I can see
Hmm.
that. The thing that you should have to do is you can't do the damage part unless the card you discard is your own. So at
Yeah, that
least
would
gives
help.
you the double whammy. Now, most people nowadays, because there's how much card draw is available, they are throwing their own card. So it doesn't matter because they want that guaranteed damage instead of that, oh,
Yeah.
my opponent might not throw a heavy enough card, so I can't actually kill the unit I'm trying to kill. So they do usually throw their own card. But on the times that they don't and they hitting you as the opponent instead, not only are you losing a card out of your hand, you're also most likely losing a unit on your side of the board all for one. That's the
Hmm.
problem with this card. Um, but like I said, if it happens to me once in a round, I don't care. I can deal with it. I can make adjustments. I can move on. It's the double and or triple that is really the backbreaking moment. And ironically, it feels like it happens more often than it should. I don't know how that's the case. Maybe it's the biased opinion because it happens all the time to me, it feels like, but it seems like they're able to get a double force throw more often than they should be able to.
Well, and I think that's also the feeling of just that it's so frustrating when it happens that you always remember it, because you are so frustrated afterwards.
Sure.
That's, I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's, I think, the biggest issue and the biggest reason they should have. Like, we would have a very healthy meta had they banned Force Throw. I would feel a lot better about this meta right now. I think Hantu Blue would be still doing very well, but I think there would be other Hantu options up there as well. I think, like, I'm playing Talzin Red because there's no reason not to play Talzin Red over any other Talzin deck right now with Force Throw in the meta.
Hmm.
It's so powerful, it's so good. I can use that, and I can use Force Lightning. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. But once that's gone, then it opens up the bigger possibilities. I think Tal's in yellow and Tal's in green both have strong potential, and I would really like to dig into them. But right now, with Force Throw as part of the meta and in the meta, it doesn't make sense to try to play any of those other than Tal's in red. And that's, I think, what's the problem with it. It's constricting the meta. And again, as I said, it's frustrating. It's the same spot DJ was in. There can be argument that DJ was not broken because it was one specific deck, and that's the only one that really used that to a really disgusting way. But that said, it was incredibly frustrating, and it just was not fun to play against that. And I think that weighed a lot on Fantasy Flight's decision to ban that, was how frustrating getting your land stolen and then destroyed was. I think it's the same boat with Force Throw. It's so frustrating to get hit with multiple Force Throws. It I didn't want to play Tal's in red. I wanted to be playing Poe Data Vault. I love that deck. I'm having a great time with that deck. That deck is just terrible into these Force Throw decks. And when
Well,
that's going to proliferate the meta, why would I play a deck that just has bad game into those?
what makes them bad into the force though? Is it the actual hand destruction, or is it the actual damage to your units from the hand destruction?
I mean, it's the combo of both, obviously. The hand destruction is the biggest issue of that, but it's both, obviously. Losing the unit and getting the hand destruction just devastates that deck.
Well, because hand
Because that
destruction's
deck
been in the
burns
game for
through
a while,
cards.
but it's never been a big prevalent thing because it's kind of easy to get out of the hand destruction because of the double card draw at the beginning of the turn.
Yeah. In general, yeah, it wasn't a huge issue until recently when you had, again, you get the double use out of force throw, and that's the big thing, is that when you're getting both of those values out of it, it's not a question of, well, which is the worst part about it? It's like, well, no, both suck. And the combination of both really, really hurt me.
Right. See,
Yeah.
it was interesting that you compared it to Overwhelming Barrage because I've long thought Overwhelming Barrage was very much on that OP cusp. For me, it was always the fact that OB doesn't exhaust the unit that gets the buff and spreads the damage. You also get to swing with the unit after clearing the entire field out, kind of thing. That just always seemed way too oppressive at that point in time.
I mean, yeah, as I said, I think that is a borderline card. I think it was fair that it hasn't been banned just because it can be played around around more than, for example, force throw. Sometimes you just can't play around. Overwhelming barrage, yes, every once in a while you can't, but in general, just because it's a 5 cost, you have a lot more options to deal with it, and you know it's coming. Obviously, uh, force throw is just so easy to dump along with something else. Oh, I've got an extra resource, and I'll just force throw you now.
There's so
And
many
I think
two drop
that's,
force units now.
yeah, a 2 drop force unit and a force throw. It's just something like that. Like you can squeeze it in. It's my 5 resource turn is taller than I drop a Dark Tyrannus, and then I'll force throw you as well, just because I've got an
Hmm.
extra force throw. It's such an extra throw in that just really just hurts to get hit with. And it frustrates is what it's come down to. And yeah, I think, but I do agree with you that said overwhelming barrage is borderline. I do think it's a very, very powerful card. I don't think we're going to see it reprinted, at least anytime in the near future. I think that's going to rotate out and it's out. I think there's a number of set one cards I expect to see back, probably like Vigilance and Cunning, all the double aspect cards, just to keep the value of playing double aspect. I think there's a good chance of those coming back.
I
I don't
want to
think
see
there's a
them
chance OB
back,
is
but
going to,
different. Like I would like to
which
see
would be
like
interesting to me
Vigilance
too.
2 or Hunting 2. Sure, keep the namesake,
Yeah.
but like have four different abilities. Don't do the same four abilities that are on there right now.
Yeah, I'd be
Um,
curious. I'd be happy with that too. Just something like, but I mean, yeah, like it obviously have to make that some value, so they're gonna have to get reprint some good cards for double aspect. But yeah, no, but I think OB, as I said, OB's gone. It's not gonna come back in any set in the near future. It's
kind
too
of already
powerful.
did. It sort of already did in Craving Power. It doesn't have
But a weaker
nearly the
version.
diversity because you're not able to spread the damage, but
Yes.
you are still doing the damage and giving yourself a buff kind of thing. So it's sort of there, but that kind of brings up a different conversation as far as like the reprints and stuff like that. All these cards that are problematic that we're like, can't wait till this goes away. And now we're starting to see subtle pseudo reprints of them. The other example that I would give would be everybody complains about Wrecker all the time being a big finisher for Sabine, and now we have the new Mace Windu that sorta does the same thing because you can ECL him in, hit somebody for 4 damage, thus weakening them and overwhelm them on top of that. So with the reprints of stuff, are we seeing them learn that they did overtune these original cards and they're trying to scale them back? Or where do you think these multi-purpose cards or multifunctional cards are going to land? Because we're seeing a lot more of them with cards that trigger off the Force. There's a lot of like, and like essentially
Yeah,
Force Throw is a multi-trigger card that does multiple different things as you're like playing it. That's the kind of cards that people want to play because dang, you get more bang for your buck at that way.
yeah.
Do we need to keep an eye on that, or do we scale those things back? Should there be a cap on how many different things a card can do before it's like, wow, this just needs to be banned right away?
I mean, I'm not a designer. At least I'm not a CCG designer. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a balancing act. I think FFG even themselves would admit that they overtuned the first set. Spark of Rebellion was a very powerful set, with a lot of very powerful cards, which makes sense when you're trying to launch your CCG. You want to make it powerful. They were quickly tuning back afterwards. The follow up sets did not have the power level, and we really have not seen that power level in the set again since. I think they're getting a little better at the balance. I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody agrees Twilight was kind of the low point we've seen so far. That was probably the set that they maybe undertuned a lot, too much of it, and that was an issue. But I feel like I thought Jump to Lightspeed was a good spot. I think the current set feels like a good spot, other than the issue with Force Throw. So I have some confidence in the design team to get it to the right spot. As long as they give me my Ewoks already, I need an Ewok deck. Drive me crazy, guys.
You get
Seriously.
one. You have one. And
No, I
you're
need
not
a
even playing
deck.
a deck that plays it, so meh.
I need an entire deck of Ewoks. I need a leader. I need enough Ewoks to have Ewoks as my every single unit in there. Maybe I'll put a Wookiee or two in, but that's the only thing that's acceptable along with Ewoks. And it's going to be amazing.
Why haven't you made a Wookiee deck then?
I've made a Wookiee deck. I've made several of them in the past. We'll probably revisit those again.
Alright. So.
Yeah, I had some good Chewy decks in the past. He's a fun one to build.
So they released the new Hoth stuff, or they didn't release it yet. They have disclosed what the Hoth stuff is. What do you think about those?
I have not looked too closely at that, honestly, myself. So
Oh,
please
okay.
go into it a little bit.
Well, I just saw that the cards were released. They did a little video highlighting them and everything. They're meant to be an introductory two-player game. They are sequentially numbered so that you can actually reset the deck and then go through it and re-demonstrate how to play little bit by little bit. They are going to be Premier Legal. My question is, do I have to buy 3 sets of them to get a playset of some of the cards? They're only
um,
$20,
I,
so it's not like it's a huge expense, but I don't think most of the cards are going to be playable. From what I've seen, there are a couple that are intriguing. I think the biggest one for me is the Tauntaun, which is I believe it's a 2 mana 2/2 that when it dies, you heal 2 damage to your base. So that seems like a very
interesting.
playable card to me, especially like in a Thrawn 4, where you can heal 4 to your base from that. There's a new Luke, there's a new Falcon, there's a new Chewbacca. All of the Luke seems like he could have some play into it.
Yeah.
The Chewbacca seems like a worse version of the 5 cost Chewbacca from set one. However, when that Chewbacca cycles out, this one can easily just step in its place because I think it's also a 5 mana 3/6. The difference is it doesn't
Okay.
ready. So it just becomes a 5 mana 3/6
Okay.
Sentinel, but it's a Chewbacca.
Just
So
a
like I
slightly
said, it's just like a
weaker version.
slightly
Yeah.
dumbed down version of what exists already. So these should still be legal after the first set cycles out. So it's kind of interesting that like talking about the whole reprinting factor. We're reprinting similar cards to what has already been out there at that point in time. So when
Yeah.
you start talking about eternal game format, trilogies, et cetera, you can start having a lot of similar cards doing the same thing. They were talking about like not wanting Surprise Strike and reprinting cards of Surprise Strike because they
Yeah.
don't want every deck to suddenly have 6, 9, 12 Surprise Strikes in them. But yet
Hmm.
here we have cards similar like Trust Your Instincts, which is a force version of Surprise Strike-ish. Little slight
Ish.
variations. It's
Yeah.
not 3, but it's the first strike. You have the Pounce for creatures that does 4. It's a Surprise Strike for creatures with a +1 that you can run with Surprise Strike at a +3. So they
Sure.
said they didn't want to do this stuff, and here they are kind of doing this stuff. It makes me wonder, are they out of ideas or what are we doing here? Because it's like it's borderline gonna be a debauchery fest after a few sets.
Yeah, I mean there's some nervousness. I mean, it is Fantasy Flight, and remind me again for this intro to Hoth, our intro battle of Hoth. It's just one of each, and they're all unique cards in that entire deck, is what they've
No,
said, or is
they're all
some of them are going to be
uniquely
different?
numbered. So, for instance,
Uniquely numbered.
I
Okay.
think say like the card's like a 30 card deck. The cards are numbered
Okay.
1 through 30, and the point of it is that you can reset them where the top of your deck is number 1 and the bottom is number 30 every single time, so that as you
Gotcha.
teach new players, you have the capability of walking them through and knowing exactly what the order of something's going to be. It is
So there
completely
might be
designed as a
some.
teaching tool,
Yeah.
hand from the ground up. That's what it's designed to do. So
Well, and that makes, and yeah, that makes me ask about that product existing. Like, is there a market for this product? Why is this a product you're trying to sell? Other than if you do try to stuff in some cards that then you're going to force some of us to try to have to buy multiple of these to get or something like that. Um, because that feels like something that, I mean, each game store might want a copy or two of, but I I just don't know a lot of people that would want this to try to introduce people to the game. I think that's kind of where I'm at. Is I don't see the sell case for this. I don't know.
supposedly, so a lot of the cards, like I said, are dumbed down versions.
Yeah.
So the complexity of playing a card is simplified. And as you're going through the deck, you can kind of baby step introducing the different mechanics or the next
Oh
thing you
yeah.
have to
I
look
mean,
at, the
I
next
get
thing
the
you have to look at.
idea. I just don't. I don't know who wants this. That's kind of just where I view it. I know I don't see any interest in this myself. I don't think I know anybody who would be looking to get this. Maybe Jennifer.
Well, it'd be a
I
matter
could
of
see
like,
her
do you
doing this.
want to introduce people into the game that maybe can get, or like if you were to like to take one of your constructed decks and give it to somebody and say, here, play me, I'll show you how to play.
Yeah.
It's going to be overwhelming for them to look at one of your
Sure.
constructed decks and try to figure out what the heck they're doing to actually play against you. Whereas this would literally be a hand holding experience for them. So I could see having one of these on hand that I can go, oh yeah, I can show you this game. Here, let's sit down and play one of these things. Right. And they're very, very, very like low key. You don't have to integrate any of these cards into your premier deck. In fact, like I said, I think 95% of these cards are going to be subpar to anything you are going to
Yeah.
want to use. It's going to be, there's a couple of them that I could see being very nichely applicable in certain decks.
Sure.
And if you
Yeah.
just have to get your hands on a couple more of those, that might not be an issue.
Maybe potentially. Yeah. I mean, I get the idea. I just, as at least in my aspect, I just can't think of anybody I'd be wanting to teach the game to that isn't already playing, that might
You
even
need
be
more
interested in
friends.
this. Yeah, I did. At least friends that would be interested in this type of thing. Like I'm just like, I don't know who I would teach this to that would care. Um, yeah,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Again, though, yeah, I don't love the. I would lean towards the aspect of if you're going to do this type of thing, maybe just make the cards not Premier legal. Like, just make them unique cards that are just for a teaching type of game,
Sure, I can see
and
that.
for having people learn. Like, I don't love the. potential of card that I don't have access to that might be valuable to having decks.
All right. Well, to wrap things up here, let's get back to the Galactics. What is the one thing you are looking forward to at Galactics besides the main event?
I mean, the big thing for me, ooh, that was a little, hey, the big thing, woo. All right,
Getting all
anyway,
froggy on me over there.
little voice crack there. Yeah. I've got Krusty the Crown. I don't even know what I'm doing. Don't ask me. Please cut this all out. Make it all
Oh
go away.
no. This is my
Anyway,
bus coming right for you, buddy.
now I'm in trouble. Anyway, as I was saying, I mean, my number one thing is grinding tickets so I can get myself one of those beautiful Revan playmats. That Deathfield, I think, is the card that the art's from. I
Yep.
think, but it's
With the
Revan.
lightning.
Yeah, it's all I care about. I need that. That's honestly my one thing off the prize wall that I'm like, I need that.
Okay.
Everything else is secondary. So grinding, that's the big one. The other thing I do want to call out is we just had today, actually, they posted the various sessions that they're going to have and
Panels.
presentations and yeah, the different panels. That's the word, panels. And Sunday's going to have the secret panel, which I mean, it's pretty obvious. That's probably going to be secrets of power discussion. But hey, it'll be great to learn more about it. As long as they show me some Ewoks, I'll be happy.
But Ewoks aren't powerful. That can't be part of that.
But they're secrets,
But they're not
right?
powerful.
Well, but they are powerful. They're little guys and they take down ATSTs. So they're
No.
powerful.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, little tiny guys. So we'll see what we get. But that's what I'm looking forward to. How about you?
For me, just a little quick note. I think your plan is solid. If you're looking to get something from the prize wall, have a goal when you go there. Like, know what exactly you want so you can like just hyper focus on that. Because the other thing we have to consider is prize wall might be limited on availability. So you might have to be like get there quick because who knows how many supplies of something are going to last, or maybe you want the same thing that 1,000 other people want. So yeah, good to have a focus there. My personal thing that I'm looking forward to is if I fall out of the main event, I definitely want to check out the trilogy. But I know there's two events. One starts at 2 o'clock on Friday. The other one starts at 2 o'clock on Saturday. There's also the
Yeah, but
first
it's
tournament.
6 hours long.
Yeah, 2 to 8.
Oof.
So 6 rounds. The other thing that happens on Saturday, day two, is the Open, which is the first event to get points towards the next season. I
Mhm.
actually don't know if I want to do that or not because I think if I am involved in the main event and if I drum out and then go to that event, that pretty much is all of my time at that point in time. And I just don't know that I want to commit everything to that because I definitely want to get some Twin Suns games in because I love
Yeah.
the interaction and the getting to know the other players in the community. And I think Twin Suns has a great way of doing that more so than the competitiveness of a one-on-one game does. So it's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more casual, and you can get some great banter and camaraderie going in a Twin Suns game. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting at least a couple pods of those in. So that's me.
Yeah, I might join in on that. I will say, oh dear. Oh yeah, I was gonna say oh, my brain just froze right there. It really is later at night. I will say that you were mentioning, yeah, the open, the first day, the first chance to get points. I think we're a little spoiled in Portland. We literally have two PQs happening for this set in August and September. So I mean, we have so many PQs that I'm not really that concerned about trying to earn those early points at some huge open. I'd rather do side events, grind tickets, have fun, hang out with friends, and not be locked into something for an extended period of time if it's not the giant event itself.
And we're
Same
not
with
spoiled.
the
We
trilogy
have
event.
just the right amount of PQs for the player base. We have a huge Pacific Northwest following, and you'll be able to find us very easily because a lot of us will be wearing our SWU PDX purple t-shirts while we're there. So you'll be
I
able
will
to
have one
find a
on day one.
lot of the Pacific Northwest people very easily. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, I
Yeah, I
think
hope to
that's
see
going to
everybody
wrap us
there.
up for Holotable Games Network for today. Once again, I'm Ginger Joe.
And I'm Replicant Corey.
No, no, no. Your school bus running over people, Corey. We'll see you
School
all at
bus, city
Galactics.
bus.
Thank
What are
you
you
guys
talking
very
about?
much.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.